Captain Sidhu sitting right behind you in a moment. But Ajay, if I can get you into, you know, I think we understand that there are very deep emotions involved. But everybody here is saying that the moment they hear legal complications, it sounds like a Babu making excuses. Is there an economic argument here?
Yeah, I've been hearing the arguments being made so far, and we've been making a very big leap that because this is a hazardous profession, because there is a probability of death, that somehow justifies one rank, one pension. I've not seen that link being established. For example, firefighters do jobs that are hazardous. There is a chance of dying. Does that mean that firefighters should have one rank, one pension? The fact that a job is hazardous, the fact that a job involves immense personal sacrifice doesn't necessarily link to one rank, one pension. I see
Should they not be rewarded differently from other professions?
So I'm entirely comfortable with the proposition. You've got to pay sufficiently good compensation to reflect the risks in these roles. It is a question of the overall compensation structure. Now, when you turn to the pensions question, I really don't agree with the notion one rank, one pension.
Because?
Because in the kind of contract that you make, if you tell a person when you leave, you will walk away holding a pot of money, that's one kind of model, or you can say when you leave, you'll walk away holding 50% of your final salary. Those are two frameworks that have been used. If you say instead that your pension will be constantly indexed to the people who are presently serving, the cost of that really escalates enormously, and it's a very, very different pension system. It's a question we have to ask ourselves, is that an efficient way to direct that compensation?
So you're making the argument that the focus has to be on greater compensation as opposed to equal compensation that keeps actually having to get indexed in a renewed, updated way constantly, because salaries will in fact keep changing. Rajiv Chandrasekhar, can I get a quick response from you on that, since you positioned this as a debate about honor? The argument being made here by Ajay is that that yes, by all means say that professions that require greater hazard, risks of life and death, compensate them differently, but why the emphasis on parity within?
The whole idea of national service, as the armed forces represents, is not a Naukri.com compensation model discussion. This discussion is not about better compensation for the armed forces. This is about essentially civil society and the nation responding to a group of people who have epitomized national service. I've had the same kind of disagreement when a national military memorial was sought to be built in Bangalore, where people found it inconvenient for their morning walks. So this is not that kind of a rational discussion, Barkha. This is a discussion about, this is not, I don't even want to engage in that discussion.
I don't at all disagree with the sentiments being expressed here. I'm just trying to take it to another level and say, okay, so what can we do and what can we do realistically? Comment of
Frankly, Barkha, can I just want to interrupt and say a couple of things. One is to add to what Manvendra said. This is, just like some MPs have one rank, one pension, the judges have it too. So there is no argument that there is no precedence. And the second thing I want to make, that this is not political. I squarely want the spotlight to shine on where the problem is. The Standing Committee of the Parliament on Defence unanimously across all parties have recommended this. Yeah. This issue is squarely in the domain of bureaucrats. They have used various complicated arguments to deny one rank, one pension, and the ability of this country to honor our serving veterans.
So we show alacrity, or MPs show alacrity when it comes to implementing their own recommendation for salary hikes, not so much alacrity for the soldier. But Comrade Bhaskar, if you want to take on Ajay's argument, Rajiv says that shouldn't even be the template of discussion. But in the end, since those are the roadblocks, we will have to address those arguments.
You know, what Professor Shah is saying is perhaps valid when you look at this as a model of macroeconomics. So I think it's a legitimate point for a professional to make on that score. But I've never had a chance to meet Mr. Rajiv, but I'd like to commend him for the stand that he has taken, which is to say, I'm using your word now, alacrity, because I'd imagine that there is a legitimate case to say that the salaries of MPs have to be revised, but the way in which they went about it did send a message to the country that when there is an element of self-interest for the members of parliament. So I think what could be done practically is to understand the problem. It's not about money. I want to really support this gentleman here who said that as far as the forge is concerned, it is a question that you have not been treated in a fair manner.
But you...
And I just want to add one thing, if I may.
Yeah.
In 1984, I was a note taker in the Ministry of Defense. Mrs. Indira Gandhi was the Prime Minister. In one of those meetings where the chiefs were, it was senior commanders, this came up. And I distinctly remember, since I had to put out the equivalent of that official press release, which you would remember, we went over various drafts, and this point came up. Then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi said that this is something that we are committed to politically as a government. But when I made the draft, I was told that leave this part out, we will address it later. So I think in a democracy, if we talk about the political commitment, different institutions are differently handled by the entire democratic edifice. The political establishment has supported this, as Mr. Rajiv said, parliamentary committees.
So
I
who's
know,
opposed it?
Mr. Singhdev, my reading is the bureaucracy has fudged. I'm using a very strong word. You have Sidhu Saab sitting behind you.
Yeah.
This system has actually fudged the issue of disability between the civilians and what has happened to the Fauj. And I think that is anguishing.
Let's hear from Sidhu Saab. Sidhu Saab, you lost your arm in a training session?
I lost on a Tibet border on high altitude.
When was this?
Training, we were on exercise. It was 1970. And 1970, I was young officer of 21 years of my age. And I served up to 10 years, up to 78. Even I fought 71 war. With this disability, I was posted at Pathankot airfield.
So you fought a war as a disabled soldier who
Yes,
had lost his arm.
on a front line. And you know, after my friend economist and that lady, I don't know her,
Indu Libraham.
Indu Libraham, I want to ask them, who has given IAS officer the one rank, one pension? You let me know this. Why the firefighters are not asking that IAS officers are getting, we are not getting it? Who told you not to give the railwayman? So we don't object. But here is the PPO. Here is the PPO, madam. मुझे 240 रुपए की पेंशन दी गई. 100% disabled. Isn't it a shame on the nation? And you threw me out of the army. Just one letter, that hereby your services are terminated. Here is your PPO. I have brought record with me.
Sidhu Saab, are you saying your pension that given to you even now, at the moment, has not been upgraded at all?
Abhi Supreme Court has issued them the direction. I lost my arm at the service of 2 years and 3 months only. And I served up to 78, 10 years. When they decided my pension, they said, no, the day you met with the accident, prior to that service will be counted. Your service rendered afterward will not be counted. So they gave me peanuts. And I fought for 32 years. Now, do you have to fight 32 years to get this penny 250 rupees? Or that too on the order of Supreme Court?
And how many wars have you, or conflicts have you seen after you lost your arm?
I have seen, after my loss, I fought 71 war. I was there.
As a disabled soldier?
This was on front line, madam, at 12,000 feet height. At Nehru Bravo Santwar newly captured Picket. We were ready to give I've shed 10 kg of my blood. And today they come and say, no, it is a financial benefit. It's a who gave it to the IS officer? Who gave it to the MPs? Who gave it to the MLAs? They make their own rules. They could do whatever they feel like. They play havoc with the defense forces. Today your Indian army is more demoralized force in the world. What have you got? Peanuts. You got MiG-21. You got MiG-27, दोनों ही गए थे कारगिल में वापस नहीं आए. और third class aircraft you have got. You are not prepared. 30,000 crore you have spent here in Commonwealth game. Why didn't you buy the aircraft for the army?
And if I can ask you, your pension was increased only after the Supreme Court
said, don't treat your officers as beggars. Give him his dues. And then after that also, madam, they did not pay me.
And what is your...
Still I'm fighting for contempt of court. Still my date is on the 16th.
So what is your...
Isn't that very shame?
So what is your pension now, if I may ask?
They have not given me. They have not calculated
But what has the court said it should be?
Court said give him for 10 years.
I have to let you know that we have great respect for you here. And I mean, I think a round of applause for this.
Hundreds of times we die hundreds of times and we'll join 5th Battalion, the parachute regiment. I was a paratrooper. I will join hundreds of times. Even if you don't give me this 250 rupees also.
Is this the value that we are placing on a soldier? Is that what it's about? We will take a break. We'll get Pinky and all of your questions after the break.